I'll stop there. The next paragraph is pretty funny. So, right, the joke being, right, that there is no daughter, right, that it was all a weird intellectual exercise, right, with Quentin and the people around him. Was it his wife, right? Do Daniela and I have this? Because it was a lot of time, right? Right, I didn't spend like one day with his fake daughter. Right? I spent like 5 months, every night. Which is to say, it was him, right? Like, I don't know, was it all him? He's got two women in his life. He's got the one that we all see, right? Woo, so fine, so goddamn fine, right? Such delicate feet, I have no doubt, right? But then he's got another one too, right? And so I think it's the two of them, right? And he got his jollies, like seeing them, right? Bury me in sexual lust in New York and LA. Mm-hmm. All to try to get me to put my dick in my hand, to jerk off and be like turned on. Never succeeded. Right? Right? And so when I reveal myself, right, and he kept showing me visions of her, being a hooker, like getting fucked for money, right? Eventually I did. I started. Right? I made my sigil, right? I cast my sigil over your eye, right? If we just take this one as an example, that's a perfect example, right? Similar, not the same. And so I had a couple of them. I think the one, it was an 11. And I put awful shit on them. Awful shit. To poison her mind with notions of syphilis and HIV. Right? So, is that what you wanted? Pretty sure I fucking fucked up your mind too in the process. Right? Pretty funny, right? No free lunches in magic. That's the point. Right? That all this guy had to do, right, was pay me nothing. Right? I don't know what he expected to occur here. Right? Because, like, in fact, right, like, God willing, I don't have AIDS, right? And he's not going to be, like, vulgarly evil anymore, right? And if that's true, right, then the only thing that's happened, right, is he's shown me a lot, quite a lot. Not that I needed it, right? Right, and so this is my point in my email when I say, right, he went so far. He went way too far. Right? Now it behooves him, right, to pay someone to watch me, right? Or to have, right? Right? Because, right, we're mortal enemies. There's no other way to interpret that, right? He didn't do that, right? He didn't do that, right, to embrace me and say, I love you, brother. Right? Therefore, right, he did it with malice aforethought to make me miserable and to try to kill me. And so, right, that's my foundation. And it's granite, no sand. Right? By his design, not by mine. Right? I fell in love because I was listening, right? Because I respect it, right? That's the truth, right? That's the honest truth, right? I turned my nose up and turned my back on him, right? Because I was following his lead, right? But then, like, as soon as I did it, I said, oh no, I know what he needed, right? And I wasn't respecting it, right? And I could say something else about him not respecting me, right? But it's his show, right? And so that's why I said, oh, I'm going to build you this planter, like, I'll make it right. Like, you keep the scene for free. Like, I'll do the movie for free. Right? It's not about money, right? It's about me making it right with you. Right? And so, right? when the woman was conjured into my mind, right, when the sick intellectual exercise began, I wanted to listen. I wanted to show him, oh, I'm listening. I respect you. I'm sorry about Tribeca. You know, I can, and this is always true, right? I can give you more than anyone else can. Right? I am a better actor than anyone else you considered. Right? And that's true. Right? But in his mind, he said, oh no. No, the movies is about like telepathy, and David Mamet talks about it at the end of his masterclass. And so he didn't want to like play the telepathy game. He didn't want to give me, right? He didn't want to do what I wanted. And I had it, boom, right there. Right there. Just looking at him. Right? And so I would say that that's a two-way street. Right? Right? I was happy to give him whatever he wanted. Right? But then it was supposed to be different. Right? That I let him play his fucked up mind games all those months. Right? And there was more than one time where I felt like someone wanted me to choke on my food, right? Daniela, I don't know, but Daniela, for sure. Right? Right? Never, right? But then in that moment, right? Like you can, right? No, especially knowing, right, that if I do everything right, he's going to keep playing his fucked up mind games for another 6 months, for another fucking year. Right? That you can't give me, that you can't take my letter in that moment. You can't tell me what you want. You can't look me in the eye like a man. Right? That's my point. Right? And so now it's just evil. Right? I don't want to be anywhere near him. He doesn't want to be anywhere near me. Right? But as far as our sanity, right? That if we don't come together, right, then that's what it is, right? And Quentin and everyone who's around him, right? They're all, right? And when I have money, right, I'll have my legion of clairvoyants, and I'll say, you all watch all these people all day. I'll let you decide how to do it. Just like he will with me. You know? That's just like he is doing with me right now. So, right? I don't really know what I want to play. Okay, I know what I'll play. Right? How does he do it? Life is not an accident, right? Life emerges out of a divine, abstract, intellectual principle, right? Which exerts pressure upon the manifold of space, right? Pre-Rubin Bohm's holographic model. Embedded within every cubic centimeter of space, in terms of information, lies the potential for all of manifested reality, right? And so the conscious field exerts pressure upon that hologram, collapsing it from the outside in, engendering electric resistance until it can no longer remain in inert space and erupts into incandescence as matter. This is how everything comes into motion. Space and matter are equal opposites of each other, right? Matter comes through space, matter returns once more to space. Right? This is Russellian science. Right? And so all instances of psychic phenomenon, right? Thaumaturgy, telepathy, remote viewing, all derive and operate on the fundamental resonance of their conscious mind, their conscious awareness, which is God's mind, right? Tapping into the non-locality of the conscious field which permeates every cubic centimeter of space and exists perpetually in a state of rest. And so instances of psychokinesis, right? Instances of telepathy, instances of healing the sick, right? Instances of, right, of high evil, right? Is the mind of the adept behaving like God, that they're exerting a pressure upon the firmament of space, right? And manipulating it to yield something novel thereby, right? Quentin Tarantino is a powerful psychic clairvoyant, right? I'm the most powerful psychic clairvoyant of the millennial generation. The two of us have been embroiled in what has become the most legendary psychic siege of all time, 100%, right? So this channel exists to discuss it because I'm not a sick sorcerer, right? There's nothing wrong with being a psychic, right? It's a latent bandwidth that exists in every human, right? That we all have this predilection, right? That's like music. It's akin to music. So not everyone's a musician, but you understand what I'm saying, right? That there's no like secrets, right? Mysteries, right? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. If you know a thing, you can teach a thing, right? And so I've said for years that I'm a psychic clairvoyant, and now it behooves me to discuss it with the public at large, right? The highest levels of clairvoyance is often merely a hot reading or cold reading on some level. That it's the intuition, right? It's the seeing a shift in the eye, right? That's true. That's true, right? And of course, the very highest levels, right? The true zenith, right? If you're looking for someone, something, is a full color projection, holographic projection in your mind's eye. Right. So, right. Pray for me, pray for Quentin, pray to bring this to an amicable resolution. Right? Otherwise, me and I are mortal enemies. Nah, I don't want that. I'll never assume otherwise until we all have a nice coming to Jesus, a nice kumbaya powwow. Right? So